Thank you, everyone, for joining me at Sandra's Stenography and Shorthand Dictation. Thank you for coming to this channel, liking the video, subscribing to my channel. I need 25 more subscribers to get to 400. So if you're watching this video, please hit the subscribe button. Let's get there. We can do it. Um, you can share these videos. You can leave me a comment at the bottom of the video about anything in this video, or if you just want to send me a message and say, Sandra, you're doing such a great job, you can do that too. Thank you so much. Um, we are still in Jeffrey Macdonald, and he just got on the witness stand. Yes, sir. Well, he didn't just get on the witness stand. If you go back to, I believe it's video number 6, I believe he just starts to take the witness stand at that point. And if you want to catch up on this playlist, you could just go to the Jeffrey Macdonald playlist on my channel. Hit playlist button. You'll see the Jeffrey Macdonald. Click on that, and you can get up to speed. I'm going to link video number 7 up here or somewhere in this video, so that if you haven't watched that, you can go ahead and then get caught up. This is a whole series that I'm doing, and I am loving this because we just got him on the stand. We sure did. I love me some true crime. Okay, so we got him on the stand. There was a recess because he had to ask his lawyer, Mr. Siegel, to see if he could voluntarily agree to give additional hair samples. They want hair samples from him. 4 years later, this is 4 years after the crime has been committed. He is in the grand jury, and this is a grand jury investigation. They're asking him for additional hair samples, footprints, and photographs of his body, to indicate, the injuries that he claimed he experienced the night of the murder of his wife and his 2 daughters. So this is about to get really juicy here. So we are coming back from recess. And we're going to have the foreman speaking, Mr. Warhide, who is prosecution. And let me see if I can see if anyone else. There is going to be an exhibit that will be marked for identification. I hope you guys know how to do that. I think that's it. More Q&A. I believe who is asking him these questions. Mr. Warhide is asking the questions at this point when we come back from recess. All right, ready? Question. Mr. Macdonald, have you conferred with your attorney? Answer, I have, sir. Question. And are you prepared at this time to voluntarily agree to permit us to take the hair samples that we require for the further testing of the hair found on Colette's body and the footprints and the photographs that are requested of you? Answer, sir, the delay was my lawyers, essentially writing a memo and Xeroxing a copy of it. The jury foreman has a copy of that. It really answers the question. Question. Will you pass that down here and permit me as counsel for the grand jury to examine it? Foreman. Yes. It's 5 hand-lettered legal sheets. Mr. Warhide. This is an original and a Xerox copy of it? Foreman. There are 3 addendums attached on the back. Answer. This is the original letter and the addendums. Just one single copy of it. Mr. Warhide, Miss Reporter, will you mark that as Macdonald Exhibit 1 this date? Parentheses. Open parentheses. Macdonald Exhibit number 1 is marked for identification. Close parentheses. Question. Did your attorney give you any advice as to whether you should consent or refuse to comply with the request that I have made? Answer, he requested that my reply is essentially what is in that note. If you would like for me to read it, I will be glad to do that. Question. I'll read it to the members of the grand jury. It says, quote, to the foreman and members of the grand jury, I I assume this is from Mr. Siegel and not from you, sir? Answer, that is correct. Question. Because it does not say it, at least at the heading, but it is signed at the bottom, Bernard L. Siegel and Michael J. Malley, attorneys for the witness, Dr. Jeffrey R. Macdonald. Quote 1. It is impossible for me to adequately advise Dr. Macdonald as to the appropriateness of the prosecutor's request for hair samples from him on the basis of a few minutes consultation. I would like to request that the decision on this matter, close quote, well, there is a footnote here which I will read, quote, delay in Dr. Macdonald returning to the grand jury room was caused by my having to handwrite this memo and make photocopies of the attached documents, close quote. The text continues, quote, I would request that the decision on this matter be deferred until after the jury reconvenes from the lunch recess. Dr. Macdonald does agree now to have footprints taken of him, and he also agrees to body photographs being taken. I apologize for any slight inconvenience that might result from my request to be able to consider further the hair matter. But I know of no legitimate reason the government's attorney did not advise Dr. Macdonald or myself last night that they intended to make such a request. It would have allowed us a reasonable opportunity to consider this issue, and we could have been able to supply the grand jury with a prompt answer this morning without needless delay to your work. Number 2, I want to make clear that my request for this opportunity to consider the hair matter further does not arise from any reluctance to cooperate fully with the grand jury, but it does arise from the fact that government attorneys in the prior military grand jury investigation, that is the Article 32 proceedings you have heard referred to, did attempt and partially succeeded in altering the report of laboratory analysis of hair samples taken from 9 different parts of Dr. Macdonald's body. I am attaching to this memo the report of Army Crime Lab Technician Janice Gleason, identified as Unit Case Number MPR 1277 70, carrying dates of July 20th and July 29th, 1970, which evaluated the 9 hair samples taken from Dr. Macdonald and compared with samples of hair found in the right and left hand of the body of Mrs. Colette Macdonald. That report states on the top of page 2 that comparative examinations of the hairs from Exhibit E4 and E5 revealed same to be dissimilar to the hairs from Exhibit E305 through E313. The word dissimilar is underscored, and at the bottom of the quoted sentence, it reads, quote, emphasis added, close quote. That is Miss, it says here, quote, Gleason concluded the hairs in the hands of Mrs. Macdonald were dissimilar to those from 9 different parts of Dr. Macdonald's body. I am also enclosing a copy of a letter under date of August 25th, 1970, by government attorney Captain Clifford Somers, asking for a so-called clarification of the perfectly clear report of Mrs. Gleason. And finally, I am enclosing the reply of September 7th, 1970, of Mrs. Gleason. For the benefit of the reporter, it is GLISSON. Among the things I am troubled by in the government's present request are the following. 1. The fact that the government's attorneys today attempted to deny the categorical conclusions of Mrs. Gleason's original report, and the failure to tell the grand jury of the letter by Captain Somers asking for change in the way Miss Gleason wrote her report. 2. There are, to our knowledge, no meaningful areas of Dr. Macdonald from which hair samples were not taken. The samples were taken from several different places on his head, armpits, both arms, both legs, chest area, pubic area. 3. The Army investigations negligently failed to take samples from the body of Mrs. Macdonald and Kimberly Macdonald. Therefore, there is no way in 1970 and no way in 1974 that the hair found in Mrs. Macdonald's hand can be checked to see if it was from her own body or from the body of her daughter, Kim. Now, there are 3 attachments. One is a report, a lab report, which I think is made under the date of 29 July 1970. It lists as exhibits pill vials, 2 of which contain hairs found in the right and left hands of Mrs. Macdonald, and 11 of which refer to pill vials containing hair removed from various points of then Captain Macdonald's body. The concluding statement is, comparative examinations of the hairs from Exhibit E4 and E5 revealed same to dissimilar to the hairs from E305 through E313. The report is signed by Janice S. Gleason, Arthur Boyd Connors, Joel L. Leeson. I wear trifocal glasses, and sometimes I have trouble focusing. The second attachment is a letter or a memorandum, well, memo or a letter. It is dated 25 August 1970. It's captioned, quote, subject, clarification of lab report, close quote, referring to the report by its number. It is addressed to the chief chemist of the Criminal Investigation Division Laboratory at Fort Gordon, Georgia. The first paragraph refers to the report that I just read to you. The second paragraph reads as follows, quote, it is of critical importance to the government to know and be able to show the meaning of the language. Quote, that is the comparative examinations of the hair from exhibits E4 and E5 revealed, same to be dissimilar to the hairs from exhibits E305 through E313. Second sentence of the second paragraph, quote, does this mean that the hair in E305 through E313 is so dissimilar to that in E4 and E5 that the source of the hair in E305 through E313 is positively eliminated as a possible source of the hair in E4 and E5? Or alternatively, does it mean that the source of the hair in E305 through E313 can neither be identified nor eliminated as the source of the hair in E4 and E5? Final paragraph, quote, if possible, I request that a written reply be afforded directly to me clarifying this point. Thank you for your time and consideration, close quote. And the letter went out with the signature of Clifford L. Somers, Captain JAGC, Government Counsel. The final attachment is a memo responding to the letter that I just read. It's signed by Janice S. Gleason, Arthur B. Connors, and James P. Ryan. The first paragraph refers to the preceding letter. Paragraph 2, quote, the following statements are to be added to page 2 of subject report for clarification. A. Therefore, it is the opinion of the examiners that the hairs of exhibits E4 and E5 probably did not originate from the same point, close quote, and the words, quote, same point, close quote, are underscored, quote, sources, close quote. I'll read it in context, quote, did not originate from the same point sources as the hairs of E305 through E313. B. However, it must be pointed out that the requested opinion regarding positively eliminating the subject as a possible source of the hair cannot be given without first examining numerous other point sources of body hair from the subject. Captain or Dr. Macdonald, I'm sorry. I read these materials and it refers to you as captain. Answer, I understand. Question, and I don't deliberately use the military title. In view of the fact that you, as I understand it, on advice of your counsel, are consenting to have the footprints made and have the photographs made, and I will, at the break, the noon recess, contact the local FBI office and arrange for them to take the footprints and make photographs. And we will hold in abeyance. I understand you are neither refusing nor consenting at this time, but you and your attorneys wish the matter to be given further consideration. And I am going to hold in abeyance the matter of taking additional samples. Now, I might say, Dr. Macdonald, that I don't think there is any misunderstanding on the part of the grand jury or on the part of myself concerning the sense or meaning of the documents that are attached here. And I'll explain what my sense is. And if you question that, you may so state. The sentence in the first attachment that goes to the substance is the following: comparative examination of the hairs from exhibits E4 and E5, that is, the hairs taken from Colette's body, quote, revealed same to be dissimilar to the hairs from exhibits E305 through E313. The sense of my understanding of it is they couldn't say they matched the hair that was taken from your body, which was included in the E305 through E313. And that's the way I understand it. They couldn't say, quote, yes, we can identify this as Mr. Macdonald's, Dr. Macdonald's hair. That's all it says. Answer, sir, it reads to me that it is different. Question, you are entitled to interpret it in your own way, but that's the way that I interpret it. It doesn't say we eliminate Dr. Macdonald entirely as the source of the hair found in Colette's hand, but we can't say that he is the source of the hair. So the government says, does that mean, in substance, does that mean that you have eliminated Dr. Macdonald entirely? Can you say positively that the hair found in Colette's hands did not come from Dr. Macdonald? They come back and say, quote, no, we can't say positively. All we can say is that we didn't have enough samples to arrive at a definite determination of that particular matter, that we need hair samples from other parts of his body. Now, I might say, Dr. Macdonald, just for edification, that I discussed this matter with a technician in the FBI laboratory in Washington. And it is my opinion, based upon what this technician told me. This is a technician independent of the CID lab at Fort Gordon that made the comparison. It is my opinion that not enough hair samples were taken from you at that time by an experienced personnel who were not engaged in the type of work that involves making hair comparisons. That not enough hair samples were taken at that time, and I was told with the passage of time, with the aging process, with the change in climate, with you living in different climates now than you lived in, with the change in diet, it becomes difficult to make. It becomes increasingly difficult with the passage of time to make a positive identification. But what we are trying to do, as you know, in this grand jury, it is passage of time to make a positive identification. But what we are trying to do, as you know, in this grand jury, it is an investigative grand jury. We are trying to run out all the logical leads. I have informed you that we are not only asking you, but we will ask other witnesses who are summoned to appear before the grand jury to give hair samples. We feel that this case is of sufficient importance. You have lost your family. You've lost your wife and your two children. To make a complete, thorough, exhaustive investigation, to attempt to correct the mistakes that were made in the past, to attempt to overcome the deficiencies of the previous investigation, and out of, as a matter of justice to you and Colette and Kimberly and Kristen, and to anybody whose finger is pointed at by you or anybody else as a possible suspect of this. So we are going to go all the way. That is why we are asking you to accede to this request. Answer, sir, this is not easy for me to appear here. You know, this is my family that I lost. I get accused of it. They don't even interview me. Question: we are not accusing you of it. Answer: I am talking about back in 1970. They don't interview me for 6 weeks. Although I go to their office and ask, don't you have any questions? Don't you want to talk to me? No, no, no. We have suspects in custody. 6 weeks go by. 14 MPs tramping through the House. Then I have to spend 4 years reliving this. And I come back here in 1974, and you ask me for hair samples. We have testimony under oath, sir. Those investigators in any other hair case have never asked for a rewording. Never. Under oath. That is not a routine procedure. That is changing evidence. Question: Dr. Macdonald, you have complained. Answer: I asked for a civilian investigation in 1970. The Army investigated itself. Question: you have had justification. I have no doubt from my own review of what happened for making certain complaints as to the investigation. Answer: you could never reconstruct the initial hour of that crime scene. Question: Dr. Macdonald, we are going to do the best that we can. And all I'm asking you is your voluntary cooperation. Answer, I am here to cooperate, sir. I want question. I understand that, and I expect after the noon recess. Answer, I have never refused to talk to anyone. I have never pleaded the Fifth Amendment. Question, I understand that. Answer, until my lawyers got to me, I offered to give a polygraph examination. Question, on the basis of what has happened heretofore, I expect that you will consent to give us hair samples. Now, you say you offered to give a polygraph examination. At this time, in aid of the present grand juror investigation, will you agree to submit to a polygraph examination? Answer, I don't want another recess, sir. Let me talk about that with my attorney at lunchtime. Question, and another thing, while we are discussing these examinations, would you consent? Now, I am just throwing this out. Raise the question with your attorney. I understand at the time that Dr. Sadoff examined you. There was some consider, and the doctors at Walter Reed examined you. There was some consideration given to asking you to take a sodium amytal truth serum and submit to an examination under the influence of this truth serum. So I am going to ask you to consider and discuss with your attorney a cooperating with the grand jury to the extent in aiding the grand jury to the extent of taking both the polygraph and the sodium amytal examination. Answer, let me make a comment about the sodium amytal interview. This was discussed with Dr. Sadoff, and it was discussed at the Article 32 hearing. And Mr. Sadoff's recommendation was that unless there was an overriding need for the sodium amytal interview, unless there were facts, and I repeat the word facts, that there was a need for an amytal interview, that an amytal interview recreates. Question, may I assist you by saying that it causes you to relive the experience concerning which you are being examined, and that would constitute a painful ordeal for you. And in his opinion, at that time, you should be spared the experience. Answer right. Question, Dr. Macdonald, the event happened 4 years ago. I think you will agree that it is high time that the matter was resolved. Answer, but resolved in what fashion, sir? To cover up the CID investigation again? Question, I am not trying to cover up the CID investigation. Answer, the Second Army investigation was finished a year and a half ago. Now, this is unbelievable. Question, this case came to me a month ago. Answer, sir, I'm not blaming you. I'm saying the Army reinvestigation, this alleged 10,000 or 3,000 page reinvestigation of the Army, a reinvestigation of the Army's handling by the Army. Question, we are going to go into that. We are going to afford you an opportunity. That is one of the reasons why you are here, to inquire into acts connected with the investigation and the subsequent handling of the case that might constitute a criminal offense. And I am going to go into that with you. As a matter of fact, we are going to go into that with a number of other people, and we will go into that in detail. But I don't think that this is the time that we do want to go into it. I am mentioning these things at this time so that you can discuss them in depth with Mr. Siegel and Mr. Malley and make your own decisions with respect to these matters. How are you liking the way this case is shaping up? Ooh, would you like to be in there in a courtroom? It's all tense and hope I'm reading this well for you. Let me know if I am. Give the video a thumbs up. Getting thick in here is yes, we're getting to the good part. Yes. So thank you for hanging in there with me. Please come back and watch number 9 will be coming up for you in this video. The next, not in this video, but in the next video. So once again, you guys already know my closings. Thank you so much for watching Sandra's stenography and shorthand dictation. I really appreciate it. It comes from the heart. Don't forget to click subscribe if you have not subscribed to my channel. Trying to get to 25. We need 25 more subscribers to get to 400. Come on, guys. You can do it. Come on. I believe in you. And as always, my good people, happy brightness. Have a good one, guys. Peace, love, and happiness. I'm out.